What if the most radical experiment in democracy and equality wasn't born in Philadelphia or Paris, but in a remote corner of 17th century Madagascar, founded by pirates? The story of Libertatia, the so-called pirate republic, ignites the imagination. Welcome to Longtail Lore, where we bring forgotten history back to life. Here was a place where, according to legend, slavery was outlawed, wealth was shared, and pirates, freed slaves, and social outcasts built a new society from scratch. But did Libertatia ever truly exist? Historians continue to debate whether it was a real place, a romantic exaggeration, or a complete fabrication. Here's the evidence, and why this elusive pirate utopia continues to captivate us centuries later. The legend begins with Captain James Misson, a French naval officer with a crisis of conscience. As the story goes, around the late 1600s, Misson visited Rome. He was disgusted by the corruption he saw within the church and state. It was there he met Angelo Caraccioli, a radical Italian priest who opened Misson's eyes. Caraccioli preached ideals that flew in the face of 17th century norms: egalitarianism, freedom from tyranny, freedom from monarchies. Inspired, Misson returned to his ship, the Victoire. Together with Caraccioli, he led a mutiny, turning the warship into a pirate vessel. Misson and his crew didn't just plunder, they liberated. They freed enslaved Africans from Dutch ships sailing through the Mozambique Channel. It was from this act of defiance that the vision of Libertatia was born, a society founded on equality and communal ownership. By 1690, they supposedly established this settlement in Madagascar's Untold Bay, naming it Libertatia, after the Latin word liberi, meaning free. But why Madagascar? What made this island a fertile ground for such a radical experiment? Madagascar's northeastern coast offered pirates a strategic advantage. Its secluded bays and proximity to Indian Ocean trade routes made it an ideal haven for raiding ships laden with spices, silks, and gold. The island's sparse population and fragmented Sakalava tribes also meant that pirates could negotiate alliances, trading European goods for cattle and rice. Areas like Ile Sainte-Marie, also known as Nosy Baraha, and the Bay of Antongil became crucial bases. Some historians argue that these locations suggest a network of pirate enclaves rather than a single, unified settlement. This complicates the effort to pinpoint Libertatia's exact location and understand its true scale, but these locations were strategic choices, far from the reach of empires, or so the pirates hoped. So, what kind of society did Misson and his crew create, and how did it challenge the established order? Libertatia's governance was revolutionary. Crews organized themselves into groups of 10, electing representatives to a council. This council enacted laws through direct democracy, rejecting the traditional hierarchies of monarchical rule and institutionalized religion. The Liberi, as they called themselves, had vigilant guardians of the people's rights and liberties. Perhaps most remarkably, liberated slaves and European pirates held equal standing. Decisions were made collectively in a parliamentary hall, reportedly built alongside an ecumenical temple. Could such a society truly function, especially when surrounded by empires built on exploitation? Their economy aimed for complete equality. Wealth plundered from ships was redistributed amongst the population. Agricultural produce was shared communally. The Liberi abolished private land ownership. As one account boldly stated, no hedge bounded any particular man's property. The community grew as freed slaves and defectors from captured ships joined their ranks, reaching an estimated 1,500 inhabitants. They even developed their own unique Creole language, blending French, Dutch, English, Portuguese, and Malagasy. This new language symbolized their break from colonial identities and their commitment to forging a new shared culture. Even their symbols defied expectations. Instead of the traditional Jolly Roger, Libertatia flew a white flag emblazoned with the motto, "For God and Liberty." This slogan captured their dual identity as both outlaws and social revolutionaries, pirates who sought not just plunder, but freedom. But this idealism faced brutal realities. What challenges did this radical experiment encounter, and why did it ultimately disappear from the map? One of the biggest threats was the external world. European empires viewed Libertatia as a destabilizing force. The French East India Company, with its own trading posts in southern Madagascar, sought to eliminate these pirate networks that threatened their commercial dominance. British naval patrols intensified after Libertatia's raids disrupted the valuable spice and slave trades, leading to skirmishes near the Mozambican coast. Internal strife also plagued the colony. The pirates were not monolithic in their thinking. Factionalism emerged between pragmatic pirates focused on plunder and idealists committed to utopia. The death of key leaders, such as Caraccioli in naval battles, weakened the colony's cohesion. Droughts and crop failures strained already limited resources. By the early 1700s, these internal divisions and external pressures began to unravel Libertatia's unity. The end of Libertatia is shrouded in mystery and contradictory accounts. Some claim it thrived for 25 years before dissolving around 1710. Others say it collapsed much earlier, after Misson's death in a shipwreck off the coast of South Africa. Later figures like James Plantain attempted to revive the utopian vision in Antongal Bay during the 1720s, but these efforts were short-lived, crushed by renewed European colonization and resistance from the Malagasy people. Perhaps the biggest question remains: why hasn't any physical evidence of Libertatia been found? This absence fuels skepticism about its existence. Some scholars argue that the entire legend originates from Captain Charles Johnson's A General History of the Pirates, published in 1724. This book, they argue, romanticized pirates as proto-revolutionaries, creating a compelling but ultimately fictional narrative. However, accounts of other Madagascar-based pirates, such as Abraham Samuel's brief rule in Fort Dauphin, lend some credibility to the possibility of short-lived egalitarian enclaves. They suggest that while Libertatia may not have been exactly as described, the conditions for such a society, even a fleeting one, did exist in that time and place. So even if Libertatia wasn't tangible, it had a monumental legacy. Libertatia's mythos has resonated through centuries, inspiring writers and political thinkers alike. Daniel Defoe's Captain Singleton, for example, draws inspiration from the Pirate Republic. More recently, David Graeber's Pirate Enlightenment frames Libertatia as a precursor to anarchist movements. Graeber argues that pirate societies challenged European imperialism through radical democracy, influencing Enlightenment thinkers. Who would have thought that pirates contributed to Enlightenment thought? Libertatia has also infiltrated popular culture. From Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag to the film Cutthroat Island, Libertatia symbolizes rebellion against tyranny. Its ethos resonates in contemporary discussions about universal basic income and communal governance, illustrating its enduring relevance. The story of Libertatia exists in the space between historical fact and hopeful ambition. While concrete proof remains elusive, the narrative captures a transformative moment when enslaved Africans, indentured sailors, and disenfranchised Europeans dared to imagine a society free from oppression. If you enjoyed learning about Libertatia, consider subscribing for more intriguing history stories. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.